Alabama anthem. Don't throw your hands up. Put up your onion. I ain't talking about Atlanta. I'm talking about the ham. I'm talking about the deal. ALABA, this where I live. Alabama where I was born. Alabama where I'm from. Alabama anthem. Don't throw your hands up. Put up your onion. I ain't talking about Atlanta. I'm talking about the ham. I'm talking about the deal. ALABA, this where I live. Alabama where I was born. Alabama.
And we say, what's going on, everybody? Christian Ballard of Ballard Sports Media coming at you with another edition this week of Tidal Wave Talk, where we break down throughout this season each Alabama game. And the Alabama Crimson Tide, they're in an interesting position that they're not really used to. They already got 2 losses on the year. Sitting at 7-2, 4-2 in conference play. Of course, we remember the loss to Tennessee. We know what Tennessee has done. They're coming off a loss now to LSU. Plenty of mistakes were made on both sides of the ball. Obviously, it went to overtime, and the defense kind of gave it up there at the end. But it's time to move forward. It's time to put it in the past and look ahead to Ole Miss and Alabama. You look at this series, this rivalry, it's a divisional rivalry at least. Alabama does lead the series 53-10-2. Ole Miss has not won since 2015, back when they had, who was it? Chad Kelly, I think. Remember, he was drafted by the Broncos, Mr. Irrelevant, in like 2016. So Ole Miss has not won since then. They've had some close calls. You know, it was in 2020, the last time it was in Oxford, of course, during the COVID year. You know, they gave us a game. They did. This is a team that I don't want to take lightly. This is a team that's going to put up a lot of points. This is a team that you could look at and say they don't really have that great of a defense, but it definitely has improved and gotten better. So let's look into the game for this year with Alabama and Ole Miss, as we have only, 3 games left if you count this Saturday. I think they have Ole Miss, they have Austin Peay, and then, of course, for Thanksgiving weekend, rivalry weekend, the Iron Bowl with Auburn. And I'm looking forward to doing that one. 8 weeks coming, I promise you. All right. Number 9, Alabama. Number 11, Ole Miss. This is a must-win game now. We're in must-win mode. And I know people want to write off Alabama, but if the cards fall the right way, if Alabama does win the rest of their schedule, they got 2 SEC games left. They also got to hope that LSU loses this weekend and that the next couple weekends, and they can retake the spot for the SEC West, make it to Atlanta. Even though they have 2 losses, they'll be in Atlanta. They'll play Georgia. And who knows? Can they get in as SEC champions with 2 losses? I think it's possible. I think that it's one of those where you don't want to leave out the SEC champion. But, again, we'll see. But for right now, if you're Alabama, take it one game at a time. Okay. Number 9, Alabama. Number 11, Ole Miss. You look at the matchup predictor for this week, 75.3. Counted a 75% chance that Alabama could possibly win this game, leaving Ole Miss with a 24.7. You could round that up to 25% chance that Ole Miss wins. And it was like this last week with LSU. And, of course, LSU got the upset and mistakes were made for the Crimson Tide. It was kind of like this last week. And Of course, there was an upset. The spread is a little different this week. It does favor the Tide a little heavier. The spread is Alabama minus 12 points. It has not changed since I made these banners. So we're sitting pretty there. And Alabama heavily favored. 64.5 is the over under. You look at what these teams are doing on both sides of the ball. And this, by the way, is this week's 2:30 CBS game, 3:30 CBS game, game of the week. So Alabama scoring 41.8, so around 41, 42 points a game, giving up 18. Not bad. Ole Miss is scoring 37 points a game. Not bad at all. They're giving up 21. And I have seen some improvement from the Ole Miss defense this year. Maybe not as much as we had hoped to see. They did win a close game last week against Texas A&M, or actually a couple weeks ago, I should say. They're coming off their bye week on the season, so they got an extra week to prepare for this game. They also lost to LSU on the road, 45-20, which is their lone loss. And when you look at it too, Ole Miss is probably the team right now to beat in the SEC West. I know Alabama is the standard, but Ole Miss sitting there with only one loss. That's very intriguing. That's very interesting because if they win out, they will ultimately. Well, actually, I guess I got to be careful about this. I think as long as I got to double check LSU's record, but I'm pretty sure like Alabama and Ole Miss need to be pulling against LSU these next couple weeks. LSU is a current 2-loss team. 7-2. They're first in the West when you look at it. And I'm trying to think. I'm trying to get this pulled up because I want to get this right. I only get one shot at this. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Because I think so. LSU is first in the West, but it's kind of a tie right there between them and Ole Miss, and Alabama's right there at number 3. Alabama needs chaos to win the division. Ole Miss needs to win out. But at the same time, because they already lost to LSU, if LSU wins out, LSU wins the conference or wins the division. So if you're Ole Miss, you need to beat Alabama, and then you got to hope LSU loses. And then vice versa for Alabama. They got to win out and then hope LSU loses a couple games. And, either one of these teams that we're talking about today could ultimately win the SEC West. So there's your quick breakdown of it. A little confusing, but you kind of get used to it. Basically, Ole Miss, Alabama, and LSU are in a must-win type of situation, and nobody likes anybody between those 3 teams because each one of those teams still has their own path to Atlanta, but there can only be one. So anyway, get back on track. You look at this game, of course, the quarterback matchup. Jackson Dart has looked phenomenal with Ole Miss this season, and of course, we know all about the Heisman Trophy winner, Bryce Young. I don't think he's going to win the Heisman again. I think a guy in CJ Stroud might do it this year personally. But you never know. Bryce Young has done a lot for us this year. He's got over 2,000 yards. He's got 19 touchdowns. He's only got 4 picks. He's 171 at 272. You compare him to Jackson Dart, it's really not even close. There's a 5 difference, a 5 touchdown difference and a 3 interception difference between the quarterbacks. But the yardage is much more for Bryce Young. The completion percentage, much more than Bryce Young, for Bryce Young. Jackson Dart is 132 of 216. 1,911 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 7 picks. Again, he's still having a phenomenal season. So, and then you got Quinshawn Jukins, 180 carries for Ole Miss, over 1,000 yards. So he's 1,000 yard rusher. He's got 13 rushing touchdowns on the ground. You got their lead receiver, Jonathan Mingo, who I think is one of the more underrated guys in the SEC, but he's got 30 receptions, 664 yards, and 4 touchdowns. Ja'Cory Brooks for Alabama, 28 receptions, 473 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And go back to the rushing yard category, the lead rusher for Alabama, been a star all year long. Jahmyr Gibbs, Georgia Tech transfer, 113 carries, 771 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the ground. So clearly you can see the numbers. I know that was a lot, but there's a lot of great numbers for both of these teams, phenomenal offenses, and I think this is going to be an offensive game. I think it does come down to which team can have the better defense to stop the offenses, and I think that's Alabama. I do. I think they're in a position where they're kind of ticked off. I know that maybe they should have learned from the Tennessee loss, and maybe they should have won every other game and not have dropped the LSU game. Maybe that's true. But if they are to lose a third game this year, I doubt that it's going to be back-to-back losses. I don't remember the last time I saw Alabama have back-to-back losses. I'm just going to be honest. I've really never seen it. I mean, you'd have to go back to a 2007, Nick Saban's first year, when he was just getting started with the Crimson Tide. But again, coming off the 32-31 loss, Alabama's just got to bounce back and get the tide rolling and get back on track to trying to win possibly the SEC. And again, I just broke it down, but yes, there is still a path for them. It's not going to be easy. They're going to need some help, but they can at least do their part and win out. This game overall is going to be offensive light on both sides, both teams. This is going to be an afternoon game in Oxford. I love that's a city that's on my college football bucket list is Oxford. I think it looks like a really cool stadium over at Vaught Hemingway. Always seems like a loud atmosphere on television. Got to give props to Ole Miss. They got some cool uniforms. I like blue. It's my favorite color. But we'll see. So you look at Alabama's offense. We mentioned the quarterback, the lead receiver, and Ja'Cory Brooks. And you look at the defense, too. The lead defender with interceptions is DeMarco Hellams with 1. He also leads the team in tackles. I think he could possibly be an NFL star, in my opinion. Watch some guys like Jordan Battle. Has yet to get a sack or an interception this year. Brian Branch, watch him. He's defended 6 passes. He's got 2 sacks for 11 yards. Henry To'oTo'o with 66 total tackles. Will Anderson, of course, is the lead guy on our defense. Not stat-wise, but talent-wise. He has 38 tackles. He does have 7 sacks for 40 yards. That leads the team. So the sack leader is William Anderson. And you give credit to him. And then Henry To'oTo'o. You also got guys like Byron Young out there. Kool-Aid McKinstry can get to the quarterback. Is this going to be a game where maybe if Alabama does get up big and they pull away, could they possibly put in some second and third string guys, let them get experience? I would hope so. I don't think that they will, because even when they've been up big, like it'd have to be like we got Austin P next week, right? Before the Iron Bowl. That's a game where you might want to put in the backups and let them get experience. So, that's where you could see guys out there like Jamil Burrows, Kendrick Blackshear a little bit more, Quadarius Robinson, Damon Payne. You could see Deontay Lawson, all these guys that are going to be future Alabama stars on the defensive side of the ball. But it starts with the senior and juniors: Brian Branch, Jordan Battle, Jalen Moody, William Anderson. Um, Dallas Turner is a sophomore, but he's still doing a phenomenal job at the linebacker spot. And he's making himself a name this year, I believe. You got Eli Ricks, 4 tackles for him, solo, 5 on his own. Eli Ricks does not have a sack this year, but he's still done pretty good. What we're waiting on Eli Ricks for, man, I'm waiting on him to get an interception, but he's good in coverage. He's defended 4 passes this year. We just got to utilize guys like that a little bit better. So hopefully, maybe in this game, we can have some breakout stars, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. I mentioned the spread in this game is Alabama minus 12 points. The question is, do they cover? Yes, I believe they cover, and I think they actually cover big. I think that this is going to be a great game. This is going to be a big game. This is a very important game for both of these teams. Ole Miss is playing to, possibly win the West, but also potentially, let's say they win the West and they win the SEC title, which they haven't done ever. Have they ever won the SEC? Someone let me know. I really don't know. But they're in a good position. Ole Miss can make the playoff with only 1 loss. But it starts this Saturday. They got to upset the Alabama Crimson Tide, give them their 3rd loss on the year. I don't think that's going to happen. I mean, Alabama just does not lose games back-to-back. I can't sit here and say they don't lose more than 1 game, because obviously we're in that situation where we have lost more than 1 game. But, there's a lot of things that Alabama does. There's a lot of things they don't do. One of those things they don't do is they don't lose back-to-back games, although they're in a situation with back-to-back road SEC games against top-tier SEC West opponents. It could be challenging. It could be difficult, and you just never know what you're going to get. We'll just have to wait and see what happens. All right. Hey, it's time for our prediction. I've said everything I've needed to say, really. But we're going to go ahead and get into the prediction. So, again, about a 75-25 on the matchup predictor, a 75% chance for the Crimson Tide to win, 25% chance for Ole Miss to win. Can Ole Miss pull the upset? I think they can. I just don't think they will because, again, don't sleep on Alabama, man. And when they take a loss, they get ticked off and ready to go. If I'm no betting expert, I say that every week. The question isn't, is Alabama going to win the game? The question is by how much, and are they going to cover the spread? I think they're really ticked off right now. I think that their defense might struggle a little bit, but I think Bryce Young and the offense want to go out there and put on a show, put on a better performance. Guys out there, Jermaine Burton, Isaiah Bond, Ja'Cory Brooks, whoever we have at receiver this Saturday on the field, man. I think this team's bought in, and I really do think, as much as I want Bill O'Brien gone because play calling has sucked this year, just going to call it what it is, I know that he can turn it around just a little bit here. He can turn it around for a game or two. I'm sure he can fix things these next couple weeks of the season. No big deal. Long term, though, he got to get out of Tuscaloosa. Bill O'Brien has got to go. Pack your bags. Keep it moving down the road. I'm going to go ahead and give you a score prediction. The spread is 12. I got Alabama. Honestly, I got them winning by a lot more than 12. I think they're really ticked off. I think they're going to be mean to Ole Miss. I'm going to be bold here. Call me crazy. I'm going to go Alabama 48, Ole Miss 21. That's a lot, Ballard. I know it is. But think about it. We're messing with two really great offenses. But you also got a really good defense in Alabama. There's not much defense on Ole Miss side, so you know they're going to give up a lot. I mean, it's one of those where both of these offenses are going to look good on the field, but on paper, when you see the scoreboard, Alabama's just going to crush them. I'm sorry. It just is what it is, folks. Alabama's going to run away with this game, put on a big performance, and then after that, we look to Austin Peay and then the Iron Bowl, and then, that'll be it for the regular season. So, but we got to take care of Ole Miss. I got 48-21, my final score in Oxford this Saturday, 2:30 kickoff on CBS, and it's going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it. I love y'all. Comment your score predictions. Really would appreciate it. Keep your head up. Jesus loves you. He's got a great plan. I love you guys. God bless. And like I always say from an Alabama fan, roll tide. Ballard Sports Media. Check it out. Y'all have a good one.
Tide, baby, let's go.
Alabama anthem. Don't throw your hands up. Put up your hand. I ain't talking about Atlanta. I'm talking about the ham. I'm talking about the deal. ALABA, this what I live. Alabama, while I was born. Alabama, where I'm from. Alabama anthem. Don't throw your hands up. Put up your hand. I ain't talking about Atlanta. I'm talking about the ham. I'm talking about the deal. ALABA, this what I live. Alabama, while I was born.